When relationships break down, can silence be the answer? Have you ever felt like everything in your relationship was going smoothly, only to wake up one day and find everything changed? That feeling is incredibly unsettling, isn't it? One moment everything seems fine, and the next, it's like your world crumbles around you, leaving you with a whirlwind of questions. What happened? Why did they leave? How can I fix this? You can't bear the emptiness, the sudden loneliness. And so, you feel this overwhelming urge to do something. Reach out, send a message, make a call, explain yourself, anything to bring them back. But have you ever asked yourself, are we doing this the right way? Surely you've thought that if you keep trying, if you keep reaching out, everything will go back to how it was. But have you ever wondered, might these actions actually push them further away? Are we missing out on an opportunity to truly find ourselves and become stronger and more confident through these challenges? The big question, do you really need to chase them? The truth is, in these moments, it's easy to lose ourselves in negative emotions. We feel the need to prove our worth, to chase after the person we've lost in hopes of restoring what once was. But what very few realize is, if you keep chasing, you'll never truly move forward. But what if, instead of chasing them, you started chasing yourself? This is where an ancient philosophy, honed over thousands of years, can radically change the way we approach life. Stoicism. This philosophy doesn't teach us how to please others or change things we cannot control. It teaches us one crucial lesson. The only thing we can truly control is ourselves. Imagine, instead of seeking someone else's validation, you turn inward and start focusing on your own growth. You work on becoming a better person, not for anyone else, but for yourself. That's when you will realize something profound. When you stop chasing someone, you become the person they'll eventually seek out. Silence. A powerful tool, what we often refer to as silence, is not about giving up or being passive. It's an active decision to allow time to do its work. It's precisely this silence that can be the deciding factor in allowing you to rebuild yourself and become stronger. Rather than rushing to fix things, silence gives you the space to reflect, to understand more deeply who you are. The feeling of loss when someone walks out of your life is something no one wants to go through. But if you stop seeking approval from others and instead focus on improving yourself, you'll realize something magical. When you stop chasing, they begin to feel your absence, and they'll start to realize your worth. The truth about letting go, sometimes, letting go is the only way to hold on. A big question we need to ask ourselves when faced with a difficult relationship is, can I let go in order to hold on to myself? What does that mean? It means realizing that when you stop clinging to someone, you're not giving up. On the contrary, you're affirming your own value. You no longer need their approval to feel worthy. You are you, independent of their presence in your life. This is when Stoicism becomes a great ally. Instead of trying to change someone else, you'll learn how to change yourself. And this is how you'll reclaim your inner strength. When you stop letting emotions control you, when you start living by the principles of Stoicism, you'll come to understand that your absence speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Make time for yourself. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight. You need time. You need patience. You need silence. When you take time for yourself, rebuild healthy habits, reconnect with your passions, and embrace the growth you've neglected, you're not only healing but also becoming a stronger version of yourself. This doesn't mean you have to forget the past relationship, but you learn to love yourself enough to not need anyone else's approval to feel complete. This is a major lesson Stoicism teaches us. True strength doesn't come from getting everything we want, but from being able to live freely without needing anyone else's validation. Building inner strength, transforming through silence and self-reflection, embracing the storm. A lesson from nature: picture yourself as a tree in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, The rain pours down, and the elements seem relentless. Yet, despite the fury of the storm, the tree remains firm. It doesn't attempt to chase the wind, nor does it fight the rain. Instead, it simply stands rooted deep in the earth. The storm rages on, but the tree endures, growing stronger and more resilient. With each passing moment, this imagery perfectly mirrors the Stoic approach to life. Life storms, be it a relationship falling apart, personal loss, or emotional upheaval, are beyond our control. However, just as the tree doesn't chase after the storm, we, too, must learn to stay grounded during life's emotional storms. It's easy to be swept away by the rush of emotions when faced with rejection or separation, but true strength lies in remaining calm and rooted in our sense of self. A journey of self-discovery, building a life of meaning. Imagine, for a moment, that your life is like a garden. For years, you may have poured all your energy into nurturing someone else's growth, supporting their dreams, comforting them in their struggles, always being there for them. Yet, in doing so, you may have neglected your own garden. Your dreams, your passions, and your goals may have withered as you focused all your attention on another. But what happens when you shift your focus back to yourself? What happens when you tend to your own garden, nurturing the flowers that are uniquely yours? You begin to grow too. You begin to bloom. This shift in focus isn't about being selfish or neglecting others, but rather recognizing that your own growth and fulfillment are just as important as anyone else's. When you take the time to cultivate your own happiness, you begin to create a life that others can't help but admire and respect. This is where Stoicism teaches a powerful lesson. True happiness and strength come from within, not from external validation. By focusing on your own growth and well-being, you build a life that doesn't depend on the approval of others. You learn to embrace life's challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth. Every setback becomes a lesson, and every struggle becomes a stepping stone towards becoming a stronger, wiser version of yourself. The power of silence. Why stepping back is the key to growth. There is immense power in silence. It's not the silence of avoidance or rejection, but the silence of self-respect and self-preservation. When someone walks away, the instinctive reaction may be to reach out, to beg, to plead for them to return. However, Stoicism teaches that this approach rarely leads to growth, either theirs or yours. Instead, the real power lies in stepping back. When you give someone the space to feel the absence of your presence, you allow them to truly understand what they had. But more importantly, you allow yourself to reflect on your own worth and regain control over your emotions. This silence creates room for personal growth. It is in this space that you begin to focus on yourself, on your goals, and on your journey, rather than obsessing over the relationship that has been lost. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote perfectly encapsulates the Stoic mindset. While you cannot control the actions of others, you can control your response. By choosing silence over desperation, you regain your power. You stop chasing after someone who doesn't see your value and instead begin to nurture your own sense of self-worth. Reclaiming your power. The strength of emotional detachment. When someone leaves or when a relationship falls apart, the emotional fallout can feel overwhelming. There's a tendency to want to control the situation, to force the person to recognize your worth. But Stoicism teaches us that this is futile. The only thing you can control is your own emotions and reactions. Imagine this: you're holding a butterfly in your hands. If you squeeze too tightly, you crush it. But if you give it space, allow it to fly freely, it may choose to return on its own. People, too, are like that butterfly. When we try to hold on too tightly, we suffocate the relationship. When we let go, we give the other person the space to realize what they've lost. This is not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about acknowledging your own worth and giving the other person the space to come to their own conclusions. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care about the person. Rather, it means you've learned to prioritize your own emotional health over the need for constant reassurance from others. It's about understanding that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's presence or approval. This emotional detachment, though difficult, allows you to cultivate a sense of peace and strength that others will inevitably notice. The role of patience. Time as a tool for transformation. Patience is one of the hardest virtues to cultivate, especially when emotions are running high. After a breakup or emotional setback, the urge to act immediately can feel overpowering. You might want to reach out, explain yourself, or fix things right away. But true Stoic wisdom lies in trusting the process and allowing time to work its magic. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, said, "Good things take time. When you act in haste, driven by emotion or desperation, you risk making decisions you'll regret later." Rushed actions rarely lead to meaningful change, but by stepping back, giving yourself time to process, and focusing on your own growth, you allow the situation to evolve naturally. Whether the person returns or not, you have given yourself the time and space to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Think of this process as the growth of a tree. It takes years for a tree to mature and develop strong roots. Similarly, you cannot rush the process of self-improvement. Every step you take, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture of who you are becoming. And just as a tree stands tall and proud after years of growth, you too will emerge from your struggles stronger and more capable of facing whatever life throws your way. Rebuilding yourself. Turning pain into power. When you stop chasing after someone, you free yourself to focus on your own development. Pain is inevitable in life, but it doesn't have to define you. Instead of allowing pain to consume you, use it as fuel for transformation. This is where true strength lies, not in resisting pain, but in using it to propel you forward. One of the core principles of Stoicism is the idea that everything we experience, no matter how painful, is an opportunity for growth. Rather than viewing pain as something to avoid, we can choose to see it as something that can be used to strengthen our character and deepen our understanding of ourselves. Every hardship, every emotional challenge, becomes an opportunity to become the person you've always wanted to be. Examples of real-life transformation. Sarah's journey to self-reliance. Sarah had been in a long-term relationship that suddenly ended. At first, she felt lost, unsure of who she was without the other person. But instead of wallowing in self-pity or constantly seeking reassurance, Sarah embraced the silence. She stopped chasing her ex and started focusing on herself. She reconnected with her passions: painting, writing, and hiking, activities she had neglected for years. Over time, she found herself growing stronger, both emotionally and mentally. Eventually, her ex reached out, but by then, Sarah had already become a new person, one who no longer needed anyone to define her worth. John's transformation through silence. John was devastated when his best friend suddenly cut off contact. He felt abandoned and alone, wondering what he had done wrong. But instead of trying to reach out, John took the time to reflect on his own life. He focused on his fitness, spent more time with his family, and dedicated himself to his career. After several months of personal growth, his friend reached out, but John had already become a more self-assured, independent person. The relationship had shifted, not because of John's efforts to fix things, but because he had focused on fixing himself. Embracing silence, building strength, and becoming unshakable in life, we often face moments where everything seems to fall apart. A relationship may end, a job may be lost, or a situation may change that leaves us feeling lost and uncertain. During these times, it's natural to want to reach out, to seek answers, to beg for what we think we need to feel whole again. But what if the real answer isn't in chasing after what we've lost, but in embracing what we already have within ourselves? Stoicism teaches us that the true power lies not in the external world, but in our own internal world. It's about understanding that we cannot control other people's actions, nor can we always predict what will happen, but we can control how we respond. And that response, when grounded in self-respect, patience, and wisdom, has the power to transform our lives. The power of letting go, a path to personal freedom. One of the most profound lessons we can learn from Stoicism is the power of letting go. In our relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships, there comes a point where we must stop holding on tightly. We must release our grip, not because we don't care, but because we care enough to let the other person be free. Letting go doesn't mean we abandon the people we love, but it means we stop tying our happiness to them. We stop living for the approval of others, and we start living for ourselves. Imagine letting go of all the expectations, all the needs for validation, and simply allowing yourself to be. It's not a passive act. It's an act of strength, of saying, I am enough as I am, and I don't need anyone to complete me. This shift from chasing to standing firm, from desperation to calm confidence, is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Building a life of meaning not for others, but for yourself. The Stoic philosophers, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, often spoke about the importance of living a life aligned with our values and purpose. When we stop chasing others, we free up energy that can be used to chase our own dreams. Instead of living to meet the expectations of others, we learn to live for ourselves. And this is where true freedom lies. When you can look in the mirror and be proud of the person staring back at you, without needing anyone else's approval. This journey of self-discovery and growth is not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. But every day you spend investing in yourself, in your personal growth, and in your peace, brings you one step closer to the life you desire. It's about building a life that doesn't depend on anyone else to feel complete. A life where your worth is not defined by others but by the strength, peace, and joy you cultivate from within. The strength of emotional resilience, turning pain into power. One of the most empowering things about Stoicism is that it doesn't shy away from pain. It doesn't tell us to suppress our emotions or deny our suffering. Instead, it encourages us to face pain head-on and use it to grow stronger. Pain is a part of life. It is inevitable, but it's how we respond to pain that makes all the difference. When faced with emotional turmoil, Stoicism teaches us to view the pain as an opportunity for growth, not as something to be avoided. It asks us to step back and reflect. What can I learn from this? The answer isn't to wallow in self-pity or allow the pain to define us, but to acknowledge it, learn from it, and let it shape us into stronger, wiser individuals. Imagine that pain is like a stone in your path. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, Stoicism invites you to step over it, use it to elevate yourself, and keep moving forward. Pain doesn't have to break you, it can build you if you let it. The ultimate freedom, self-reliance, and peace of mind as you embark on this journey of embracing silence, building inner strength, and focusing on your growth, you'll start to experience a newfound sense of freedom. This is not the freedom of living without responsibility, but the freedom of self-reliance. The freedom that comes from knowing that your happiness is not dependent on external circumstances or other people's actions. When you are no longer tethered to the need for validation or approval, you become free to live life on your own terms. You stop waiting for things to happen and start making them happen. This is the ultimate freedom. The freedom to be yourself, to live authentically, and to trust that your own worth is enough. The power of patience and time, letting things unfold naturally. Patience, one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy, is perhaps the most difficult yet the most rewarding lesson. In a world that values instant gratification, the idea of waiting for something, anything, can feel counterintuitive. We want results now, answers now, closure now. But Stoicism reminds us that good things take time. Time is not the enemy. It is the ally of wisdom and growth. When we stop rushing through life, we allow ourselves the space to truly process our experiences, learn from them, and grow stronger. Whether it's a broken relationship, a lost opportunity, or a personal setback, time allows us to gain perspective. In the end, time reveals what truly matters: your peace of mind, your personal growth, and your ability to stand strong no matter what life throws at you. The transformation, becoming unshakable as you apply these Stoic principles to your life, you will notice something incredible. You begin to transform. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop seeking constant validation. You start to trust in yourself, your strength, and your ability to create a life that is rich with meaning and purpose. Over time, you'll find that you no longer need to chase anyone or anything to feel complete. You are whole. You are enough. You are strong. This transformation is not about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be. And in doing so, you will become someone who is impossible to ignore, because your presence will speak for itself. Final thoughts: the power of self-respect and confidence. In the end, the greatest lesson of Stoicism is this: true power lies in knowing that you are enough just as you are. By embracing the silence, focusing on your growth, and learning to detach emotionally from outcomes, you can create a life that is deeply fulfilling and meaningful. You no longer need to chase after others or seek their approval, because you have already found the most important source of validation: yourself. So, let time work its magic. Let your actions speak louder than words. Focus on building a life of meaning, growth, and self-respect. And when the world starts to notice your transformation, you'll realize something even more powerful. You never needed anyone to validate you in the first place. You are unshakable. You are worthy. You are free. If you found value in what you've just watched and you're ready to start embracing the Stoic principles in your own life, it's time to take action. Remember, true strength comes from within. And now is the perfect moment to begin your journey toward inner peace and self-mastery. Here's what you can do right now. Subscribe to our channel to continue learning valuable insights about personal growth, Stoic philosophy, and how to live a life filled with purpose. Like this video to show your support, and share this message with others who need it. Let's spread the power of Stoicism to everyone who is ready to transform. Comment below with the words, "I am enough," to affirm your self-worth and claim your strength. This is the first step toward becoming the unshakable version of yourself. Take one small action today to begin focusing on yourself. Whether it's setting a new goal, reflecting on your values, or simply taking time to care for your mental and emotional well-being. Remember, the path to true freedom and peace starts with you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start now. Your journey to becoming the best version of yourself begins today. Thank you for watching, and let's move forward together.